What if Nihilux, the character we've always known as an NPC in the story, has actually been hiding a true form that's completely different from anything we've imagined so far? It sounds surprising, and honestly, pretty exciting, but that's exactly what we'll be discussing today. As always, all the information covered in this video comes from sources that are generally considered credible within the community. But before we jump into the main topic, running out of stellar jade in Honkai starrail? Don't worry, there's a more budget-friendly solution. Now you can top up in-game safely, quickly, and at a lower price through U7 Buy. And it's not just Honkai starrail, other games are available too, all in one place. Still not sure? No problem. You can check U7 Buy's reviews directly on Trustpilot, so it's transparent and trustworthy. For comparison, 80 Nihilux shards cost around $100 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, it's much cheaper. The process is also instant. Just select your server, enter your UID, and the balance is delivered straight to your account, no hassle. Don't forget to use code BOOM for a 5% discount. Click the link in my description or pinned comment to visit U7 Buy. Alright. In my previous video, we talked about the possibility of a special patch following version 4.7, as well as internal schedule changes at Hoyoverse that could potentially affect many of the leaks currently circulating within the community. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend checking it out first. Today, we're revisiting Nihilux with two very interesting updates. First, we'll discuss the latest information regarding Nihilux's element. Second, we'll talk about the possibility that Nihilux is hiding an entirely different true form. Let's start with the first topic, Nihilux's element. We've actually covered this information before, around 2 weeks ago, but we're revisiting it because there has been a significant new development that changes quite a few things. Before we get to the update, let's quickly refresh our memories. The original information about Nihilux's element came from Sakura Haven. However, Sakura Haven themselves stated that the information did not originate directly from them. Instead, they were contacted by an anonymous leaker who wished to remain unnamed, and Sakura Haven simply shared the information publicly. According to that post, the anonymous source claimed that Nihilux's element would be lightning. At the time, this was quite an interesting revelation because after receiving new lightning characters such as Ashvale and Trailblazer, Elation, Nihilux would have continued that trend. However, as I mentioned earlier, there is now a new update regarding Nihilux's element, and this information comes from Mortis via Galaxy Leaks. What's interesting is that Mortis' statement directly contradicts what the anonymous source claimed. In Galaxy Leaks' post, Mortis stated that the information shared by the anonymous source through Sakura Haven was false. In other words, lightning is apparently not Nihilux's actual element. Unfortunately, Mortis didn't provide any further details regarding what Nihilux's true element might be. He simply stated that the circulating information was inaccurate without offering any clarification beyond that. This leaves us in a rather confusing position. On one hand, the anonymous source via Sakura Haven claimed that Nihilux is a lightning character. On the other hand, Mortis, who has one of the strongest credibility records within the HSR leak community, firmly rejected that claim. Personally, I'm more inclined to trust Mortis on this matter. However, that brings us right back to square one, where Nihilux's element remains a complete mystery. Could it be fire, ice, wind, quantum, physical, or perhaps even imaginary? Now let's move on to the most exciting part of today's discussion, the information regarding Nihilux's model. This information comes from DK2 via HXG Leaks. While the statement itself was quite short, its implications are enormous. According to DK2, similar to Cyrene and Fanon, Nihilux will have a different model when she becomes playable in version 4.7. This statement immediately raises several important questions, and there are two possible ways to interpret it. The first interpretation relates to Cyrene. In this scenario, Nihilux's playable model would be completely different from the NPC model we've seen throughout the story so far. This is similar to Cyrene because, as we know, NPC Cyrene uses the model of a young child, while playable Cyrene appears as an adult with an entirely different character model. The second interpretation relates to Phanon. In this case, the NPC and playable versions would largely share the same base model, but the character would possess a second form or transformation during gameplay. Phanon uses the same model both as an NPC and as a playable character, but he can transform into Kaslana during combat, creating a dramatically different appearance. Based on the wording of DK2's statement, it seems more likely that the comparison leans towards Cyrene, meaning that Nihilux's playable version may be completely different from her NPC appearance. Interestingly, this isn't the first time we've heard about Nihilux having a different form. We actually discussed this topic in a video 2 weeks ago, based on information from the same anonymous source via Sakura Haven. At the time, in addition to mentioning Nihilux's supposed element, the anonymous source also claimed that Nihilux will release with a different form similar to Cyrene. They even added a note saying that this may or may not be a huge spoiler. So even though the lightning element claim from the anonymous source has now been disputed by Mortis, the information regarding Nihilux having a different form is still worth paying attention to because it aligns closely with what DK2 has now reported through HXG leaks. At the very least, when two separate sources point toward the same conclusion, the overall credibility of that information naturally becomes stronger. If this turns out to be true, then this would be a huge development. Just imagine how surprising it would be to see Nihilux appear in a form completely different from anything we've expected. What would this alternate form actually look like? Would the transformation make her almost unrecognizable compared to her NPC appearance? Or would the character model remain largely the same, with only a different outfit or visual design? These are questions we simply can't answer right now, and that's exactly what makes this leak so fascinating to follow. Perhaps the most intriguing question of all is whether this model change is connected to Nihilux's lore or an unrevealed part of her story. After all, the anonymous source via Sakura Haven hinted that this could be a major spoiler, suggesting that the model change may be directly tied to a significant moment in the Plan Arcadia storyline. What do you think about all of this? Are you more excited about the possibility of Nihilux having a completely different playable appearance, similar to Cyrene? Or would you prefer her to keep her NPC model while gaining a transformation mechanic like Phanon? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. And with that, we've reached the end of today's discussion. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video all the way through. Don't forget to share it with your fellow Honkai starrail players so they can stay up to date with the latest information as well. Your support through likes and subscriptions means a lot and helps the channel continue creating informative content in the future. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next discussion.